My friend and I and our two girlfriends decided to try angel trumpet after learning that my friend had an enormous angel trumpet tree in his backyard, and that it apparently could have hallucinogenic properties. We boiled 5 pink flowers in about 2 gallons of water with tea leaves. We also took the green base leaves of the flowers and some of the stems and microwaved them to dry them out. We decided to go to the beach. We smoked about 2 grams of the microwaved plant before we left. I remember it making me see strange colors for a moment, but nothing else. Afterwards, my friend immediately started drinking tea. He probably ingested about 1,000 milliliters of tea before we arrived. Our girlfriends each probably drank 350 to 500 milliliters. I waited till we arrived before I ingested about 500 milliliters of the tea. By the time we arrived, my friend was beginning to act very strange. We had stopped by another friend's house a few minutes before to see if he was at home. His mom met us in the driveway and said that he was out. As I started to back out of the driveway, my friend began to step out of the car. When I asked him where he was going, he said, "I left my weed and my pipe in the house." I responded, "We never even got out of the car, bro. We've only been here for about 45 seconds. Now we're going to the beach, remember?" He looked at me frustrated, but shut the door and we drove on. Once we got there, my friend said he had to pee. He went into the bathroom. About 6 seconds later, he came out looking angry and confused. I asked, "You good? Stage fright?" He nodded and started walking to the beach. Once we got down to the water, his girlfriend disappeared. We thought we can see her in the distance, and for some reason, we were all okay with this. My girlfriend sat with our stuff. I turned to ask my friend what he wanted to do now, and he was gone. A few minutes later, he came walking with his arm hanging in the air. He told me he just met this guy and that apparently he had some good ecstasy. There was no guy. When I asked him what the fuck he was talking about, he looked around and said, "The fuck did that guy go?" Suddenly, I felt strange, like everything was supposed to be normal, but I was somehow in the wrong place. I started to walk down the beach a little bit, and without warning, the entire right side of my body shut off. My arm, leg, even my eyes suddenly went limp, sending me crashing to the sand. I sit up very confused, having no idea why I'd just fallen. As I continued walking, this phenomena happened again and again, each time sending me to the sand. At this point, I decided I should round everyone up and get the hell out of there before someone noticed our strange behavior. Meanwhile, my friend's girlfriend, whom we had lost about half an hour earlier, returns and plops down next to my girlfriend, both of which are in deep conversations with absolutely no one at all. They're not talking to each other, they're talking to thin air. What I did not know was that my friend's girlfriend had been wandering for the last half hour from one woman's purse on the beach to the next, rummaging through them. Each time she was confronted by the owner of the purse, she told them she was looking for her cell phone. When the owner explained she was looking through the wrong purse, she simply agreed and went to the very next purse she saw. She did this to 5 or so people. Needless to say, the cops have now been called. Now I've got the 2 ladies, but my friend is gone again. As I'm looking around, I see him up the beach hiding behind tall grass. When I approached him, he was crouching down, eating a long blade of grass with one hand, smoking a cigarette that wasn't there with the other, with fire ants all over his feet. When I asked him what the fuck he was doing, he looked at me but didn't respond. I started to walk him back down to the water to wash the fire ants off his feet. Unfortunately, neither one of us could walk properly, and we kept falling down. Once I finally got the 3 of them collected with our stuff, I got my girlfriend up and we went to go pull the car around. When I got to the car, the police arrived. By now, I was tripping hard. I was really confused as to why the cop wanted to talk to me. I was talking to another friend who was with me, but he wasn't really there. Me, my girlfriend, and my friend's girlfriend were arrested. The girls were taken to the hospital to be observed for a while, and several hours later were taken to jail. I was taken directly to jail. While in the back of the police car, they picked up another inmate to take to the jail. We laughed and joked about how stupid the cop driving was and how horrible his driving skills were. Shortly before we arrived at the jail, I was distracted. When I looked over, the inmate that had now become my friend was gone. He was never there in the first place. The officer driving kept a constant crazy eye look on me for the rest of the trip. One thing I had not read about when it came to this drug was the power. It was like really warm blood pumping through your veins, up to your brain, down to your feet, and back again. It wasn't like anything felt lighter or I felt stronger. It just felt like if I applied the force for long enough, whatever I was trying to force got forced. The police could not figure out what I was on, and although I was acting extremely weird, I wasn't being violent or angry, but I wouldn't stand still. Every chance I got, I wandered away. This happened 3 times somehow. They finally handcuffed me to a chain link fence that was protecting the glass of one of the police station rooms. I decided I didn't want to be there anymore and started to leave again. Realizing I was handcuffed to something this time, I decided I would need to take the wall with me. I slowly began to walk forward, pulling harder and harder on the fence. As I stepped forward, the fence began to bend. I felt the force of the fence being pulled on me, but I just kept the same slow pace walking forward. It didn't feel like the force holding was increasing, just that it was constant, and it just wasn't enough to keep me from continuing my slow walk. Then, snap. The brackets on the edge of the fence buckled and broke. I ripped the side of the fence off the glass. It didn't even feel like it took any effort. This made a lot of noise and quickly attracted police attention. I was subdued and taken to a cell. The rest of the night, people kept coming to visit me at my cell that weren't there. Every once in a while, an officer would check on me and try to get me to tell them what I was on, to which I kept replying, "Weed, man, just weed." When I was finally bailed out, I couldn't read anything. I could see the letters, but just couldn't get them to form words. It took another day to sober up completely. The after effects were mostly related to being unable to read. My friend, however, had consumed considerably more Brugmansia than us. My friend had also recently discharged from the Marines for injury. He was a pretty big guy. While the cops were handling us 3 at the beach, a group of officers had showed up on the scene to get my friend. He was now completely naked, halfway in the water, stating that he had to go to Walmart and walking into the ocean. Somehow the police convinced him to come back to the shore, where they promptly handcuffed him and tried to arrest him. He jumped up, freaked out, and actually snapped the handcuffs. Yes, that's right, he physically broke the chain connecting the 2 cuffs with raw strength. At that point, the cops beat the shit out of him with nightsticks till he stopped moving. They sent him to the infirmary. Eventually, he went to jail. The sergeant on the scene said it was the first set of handcuffs he'd seen broken in 20 years. When he got home, we came and visited him. He seemed fine, bruised and battered, but coherent. He functioned normally in society for 2 days. On the 3rd, he called me in a panic. He had no memory of anything that happened after we took the tea, and didn't understand why he had so many bruises, why his wrists were so torn up, or what happened to the last 3 days. He functioned for 2 days before he came to. We were all shocked.